Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in. We're live. So it's so amazing seeing this virtual paint night grow. How many people are interested and enjoying this? I'm so grateful you guys are all watching. Yeah, the first one I did, I think there were like 5 people. The second one last week, there were 20. I think this time there are 50 people that said they were going, so we'll see how many of you tune in. Yeah, it makes me so happy that you guys are loving these, and I love putting these on. I realize it's kind of like my highlight of the week, and I posted about this earlier. But just a chance to be creative, talk to people, kind of. So fun. Casey and Liz are here. Hi. Yay, besties. Um, yeah, so we might have a lot of new viewers today, so I'll introduce myself in case you don't know me. My name is Anna, and I'm an artist based in Santa Cruz, California, and I create paintings, watercolor, and acrylic for the most part of the ocean and wildlife, things like that. And as you can see, this owl behind me, I have kind of like a fun, stylized interpretation of the animals that we see out here. Yeah, so that's what I do. I've been painting my whole life pretty much since I was a kid. I was always in art classes, and I was born in Russia. I lived there till I was 5 years old. Then I grew up in Philadelphia, and in 2008 I went to college in California. That's how I ended up here. And then I stayed after I graduated because I just love it here, being near the ocean and the mountains too. Just a lot of recreation opportunities because I love the outdoors. So I would love to know who's watching right now. So let me know where in the world you are, who you're stuck with today, and what was the highlight of your week. You can type in a little comment on the side. I think that's an option. Yeah, so I've had a few highlights this week. Early in the week, I was feeling really down, with all the changes and everything, but then yeah, there were like a couple good things that happened. The sun came out. My backyard's been super warm, so I've been sitting out there soaking up the sun. That always helps me feel better. I got to catch up with friends, some of who are watching today, so that was a very special treat. And then I also went for a morning run and ran into a stranger, and we were talking about surfing from a safe distance, of course. And then he gifted me a fin for my board because I don't have one and I haven't been able to go out because of that. So that was really special and kind of like reinstilled that giving attitude in me. So a lot of good things. Let's see who we've got. Allison asked if you can use watercolors. Yes, you can. I think Casey is also probably using watercolors. So I will, like I said, I'll include some instruction on watercolors alongside my acrylic demo. And this piece will work really well. Like you can use a wet on wet technique for the background and just leave the page white for the flowers. We'll do that in the acrylic painting anyway. Yeah, and it should be really good. And Barb's is here. Hello. Hello, Sue. Glad you're here again. Rebecca from Monterey. Andrea from Bakersfield. Becky from LBC. Oh, you're out on the balcony in the sun. Awesome. And Patty's watching. A regular at my live classes. Glad you're here. Chrissy from SV Scotts Valley. Kevin, hello. Haley is also doing watercolor, all right. And Christy from Southern California. Casey with all your roomies. Patty just finished happy hour on Zoom. Awesome, you're primed for painting. Andre, привет. And mommy-daughter paint night again. I love it. Leslie from San Diego. Oh, thank you. Like my earrings, they're little fish. I got these in Peru when I went to Peru. And Liz and Maisie, hi. Hello. Okay, so if you're not familiar with the process, basically I'm going to demonstrate our painting of the day in a step-by-step process. So it's great if you don't have a lot of experience painting. I'll kind of break it down into simple steps, and we'll learn a lot along the way too, like color mixing and brush control techniques. I'll just kind of talk you through everything as we go along. And if you are more experienced, you can get as creative as you want. Feel free to change up the composition. I always encourage creativity because we all have our own ideas of what looks good, stuff like that, and our own, artistic style. So feel free, I encourage you to embrace that, your own style, even if you've never painted. Your painting's not going to look the same as mine does, so don't compare anything. And even my own paintings, every time they turn out different, even if I'm redoing a piece for these classes. Hi, Jordy and Gabby. Okay, let's see. Our supplies. So hopefully you guys are all set up with your supplies and ready to go. I have a stretched canvas. You can also use a canvas board. That's what this sample is on. It's like a thin little board with canvas. You can also use a wood panel or heavy paper, like watercolor or mixed media paper works well. Even cardboard. Some people were painting on cardboard if that's all you have. I know we can't get to the store, get orders in or anything. Yeah, so we've got our surface that we're painting on. You guys are gonna need paint. So the colors that I'm using today, they're kind of my go-to color palette. So my primaries are magenta, yellow, and phthalo blue. And I'm actually working on another virtual class on color mixing, but those are the three colors I use, plus white and black usually. But you can get every color of the rainbow just with those three. And if you swap the red for magenta, the colors come out even more vibrant. So little tip. And then I've got turquoise just because that's a fun pop of color, gives it that bright cheery feel. If you have orange paint, that's handy because we're painting orange poppies, but not necessary because you can also mix orange with your primaries. And we're gonna need some white paint just to add into our colors, and that's it. Those are the colors we need. You should have some brushes. I like to work with a large flat brush. This is a size 24, and a medium flat brush. Oops. This one is a size 12, and then a small round brush, like a 4 or a 6, to get the fine details. And then you're going to need something to put your paint on, like a plate, a water cup for rinsing your brushes, and a rag or paper towels or something to dry your brushes on. So that's our supplies. Let's see, I'm going to check in on these comments here. Got some questions. Kim, you like my art? Thank you. Haven't seen you in so long. And Katie who's watching. What if you don't have yellow? That's fine. You can improvise and use another color. Like for the background, it doesn't matter what colors you use. You can do any color really. And hopefully you have orange for the poppies. If not, you can make the flowers a different color. It's art, so it can be anything. You can get creative and you'll probably be surprised at how cool it turns out. And Liz, you got the whole family. Wow, I'm glad everyone's joining you. Hooray. Hello, everyone. Okay. So, we can begin. Oh, other thing you're going to need is a pencil to do the sketch first. I don't know if you can see if the resolution's good enough. But yeah, I did a little pencil sketch of the poppies, and I'm just going to re-outline it with a paint pen. I just did that for myself so I don't get lost. But yeah, you'll grab your pencil at first, and we'll just sketch out our poppies so we can eliminate the wait time for drying in between layers, and also it's kind of hard to cover up the background with a light color like orange. So we'll just kind of do segments. So how to draw a poppy. They have 4 petals that kind of overlap each other. And it depends on what side you're looking on, so I'll do like a side view first. So this is gonna be one petal. It's kind of like a triangle with, or like a heart shape, I guess, but this part is more flat than a heart and more curved than just a regular triangle. So like a curvy triangle, if that makes sense. And then, yeah, I hope you guys can copy this all right. And then I'll make another couple petals here. Of course, the sketch doesn't have to be perfect because we are gonna cover it up with paint, so we can always adjust stuff. Okay, just checking on the comments. Okay, and then we'll do another one of those. So there's my really flat triangle. This one you can kind of see in the flower a little bit more. So I'm doing 3 different variations. Okay. And another 2 little petals on this side. Okay, and if you're doing like the face of a poppy, it's looking at you. You can just start with a circle and then add the petals. And if it's easier, this is probably the easiest way to draw the poppy, is just to start with the circle. So if these shapes are challenging for you, you can just make all 3 kind of facing the viewer. So if you do the circle, and then you can make those little curved triangles coming in. And we'll define that a little bit more as we paint. Yeah, and then they kind of have this like oval at the base, and if you want to do the stem just for your reference, you can, but it's probably going to get covered up when we do the background. Okay, so now I'm going to get my paint on my palette. I'm running a little low on this white. Hopefully I have enough. I'm working in my garage, so if you guys hear any funny background noise, forgive me. I think there's like people screaming on the sidewalk right now. Sometimes you hear birds chirping. Okay, get my turquoise, blue. Yeah, and when I'm setting up my palette, I usually like to keep my warm colors on one side, the cool colors on the other side, just to kind of avoid blending muddy colors. Okay, and we're going to start with the background and then work our way towards the front. So, let's see. If you guys want to check out the reference painting again, I used a blend of turquoise, yellow, and magenta in the background. You want to be careful if you're using all 3 primaries, because if they all come together at once, you get like a brown color. And I got a little bit of that in here because I was using kind of a messy paint palette that my daughter was using at first, so they ended up a little bit muddy. But yeah, in theory, if you have like the turquoise, the only color you want to put next to it is the yellow. And then if you add in a little bit of pink, make sure it doesn't touch the turquoise, or else that'll be all 3. But that'll make more sense once we go along. And then the white here, it's just the white of the canvas. And if you're painting on something that's not white, you can just add in the white color. Okay, so we'll start with some turquoise. And the turquoise looks really good behind the poppies. It kind of makes them pop. Because if you put like the yellow or orange behind the poppies, then they kind of blend in too much. And I'm just starting with my bigger brush. You can use your medium brush if that helps you get a little bit more control over it. So I kind of outlined my flower that I sketched out at first, and now I'm extending that in kind of like a crisscross brushing technique. Also, if you want to add a little bit of white to the turquoise, it's a nice way to brighten it up and get some variation going. So I like to just mix it up on my plate like so. Yeah, and this background is very splotchy, so you can leave little spaces of white in the middle. If you're working with watercolors, what I would probably do is just kind of lay the paint on with water and then drop in the other colors so they merge together. It's actually a really good one to do with watercolors because you can get like a really soft blended background. But keep the same theory in mind of isolating the colors. Like you probably don't want to drop like a yellow in the turquoise or stuff like that. Thinking of examples. Okay, so I think that's good for the turquoise for now. I've kind of outlined the poppies so they will pop against that turquoise background. And now I'm going to rinse my brush off real good. And best way to rinse your brush, I always go over this, but you just swish it around the cup, smash the bristles at the bottom, and really agitate all that paint off. Make sure you get all the excess water off so that you don't have water dripping down your canvas, although we are going to incorporate that technique in a minute once we lay more of our colors down. Get some dripping. Comment here, Alexandria just moved and lost your paints. Oh no, yeah. You know, I placed an order on Amazon like last week, two weeks ago maybe. It hasn't even shipped out yet. Crazy. But hopefully you get them soon. And I don't know if it's too late, but you could also try Dick Blick. That's usually where I get my supplies. And I think they're still shipping like on a pretty good schedule. But I know Amazon shut down because I think they like closed their warehouses because of the virus. But yeah, there are art stores that are still selling their supplies. Okay. Okay, so now I'm gonna grab my yellow paint and I'm gonna mix it in with a little bit of white just to give it some opacity. And the acrylic paint, it should still be wet, so you'll get some cool greens going there when you blend it with the turquoise. You just want to make sure you're not over blending. Just keep those different colors kind of isolated. Yeah, and there's no real science other than outlining the poppies in turquoise, or like methodology, I guess, to where I'm putting these colors. It's kind of random and I'm finding the balance as I go along. So if I find there's too much yellow like in one spot, I'll balance it out on the other side of the canvas. And that green we're getting is really nice. It's kind of like the foliage that would be in the background. Okay, and then we'll rinse our brush one more time. And now I'm gonna make some orange by mixing my pink and yellow. Or if you have orange paint, just use that. Or red, or whatever you have. Yeah, so a little magenta and a little yellow, get a nice vibrant orange, so nice. And then the orange, I'm only going to lay it down next to the yellow, like I said, just to avoid getting mud, because if the orange mixes with the turquoise, they're kind of opposites on the color wheel. If you ever want to make brown, that's how you make brown. Okay, maybe a little bit up here, nice and bright. Okay, and I'm just kind of really scratchy, sloppy with the paint. It's a very expressive kind of style. And then if you want to do a second layer over anything, we can do that too. Just rinse my brush off again. Maybe emphasize that turquoise one more time. And then yeah, I'm leaving the white of the canvas showing here, but just kind of doing some random brush strokes, like wisping out into the edge. You can even kind of scribble with your paintbrush and get a different effect, some texture. And now we're gonna play with a little bit of water. Slow down a little bit. Sorry, I know I always paint really fast. Thanks for letting me know though. But I'll let you guys catch up, and then I'm gonna get like a drop cloth for my floor so I don't get paint everywhere. So, catch up. Am I drinking tea? No, not today. Pretty warm today, so I don't really feel like tea. Are you drinking tea, Gabby? Okay, and yeah, as you guys go along, if you do get like all the colors mixed together and start getting that mud forming, what you want to do is just stop, don't blend the paint anymore, let it dry out, and then you can go back over and cover it up with a more vibrant color. I'm just gonna carry on with a little bit of a second layer here while you guys catch up. I also want to keep my paint kind of wet for the next part. have another exciting virtual thing coming up. Um, Next Friday, I'm going to be doing a virtual First Friday. So our local First Friday Santa Cruz organization, they always have these monthly First Friday events where the local shops downtown and around the area, they host artists and they have like a little reception and they stay open late and people can come around and see all the different artwork. But yeah, this month they are doing it virtually, and instead of just First Friday, they're doing it every Friday. So next Friday, I'm gonna be doing a little social media takeover through their account, and I'll do like a little live presentation with more emphasis on my own personal work. So I'll probably do like a tour of my studio, maybe a painting demonstration. I haven't really decided yet for sure what I'm gonna do. I have to think about it a little bit. So yeah, if you guys have any suggestions of what you want to see on my studio tour, let me know. Okay, so hopefully you guys are a little caught up now. So if your paint is still wet, we're gonna do the next technique I'll demonstrate. So we're gonna add some water to create some drips. This is kind of a new technique for me, so see how it goes. So I'm just gonna take water from my cup and kind of blend it into the wet paint, and you'll see it'll start to get like little drips. You can either just take the water and put it on the canvas, or you can take the water and mix it in with the paint and do the same thing. You can kind of like press your brush onto the canvas to really get all that water out. And I'll use that just on the lower half. So you can do like maybe 2 or 3 splotches with the turquoise and then a couple splotches with the orange or yellow too. Hopefully you have some protection on your table wherever you're working, on your floor. You can lay down some newspapers or something. Yeah, this works really well if you have a big brush that can hold a lot of water in it, and then if you just press it onto the canvas, the water will come out, and as long as your canvas is vertical, you'll get those cool little drips going in. And if you need to blend them in, you can do so. Okay, and then another little effect I like to add is just some more expressive brush strokes. So let's see, I'm gonna go over the turquoise with some yellow and white. Of course I'm getting green because now all my turquoise with the water got into everything. So just a couple little fun brush strokes there. You can even leave the paint textured. And if you're going along with watercolors, you can probably skip this step or do it when the paint is dry. Go over with a couple brush strokes. I'll let you decide what feels good. Yeah, so you just want to make sure you have contrast if you're adding little brush strokes like that. So if you've got the turquoise, you can do yellow on it. If you're on the yellow, you can do turquoise. Nice, fun, colorful, abstract background. Yeah, and this stroke is really simple. You just do it in one go. Haley, my studio is in Santa Cruz, California. It's just my home garage, nothing fancy, but it's my little space for creativity, and I love it. That's where we are right now, in my garage. Yeah, whatever other brush strokes you want to try and experiment with, get creative. Yeah, I've loved seeing what everyone's been sending in to me. It's just so funny not to be able to see what you guys are painting as we paint along together. But yeah, I love seeing the finished paintings, and they always turn out so cool. So keep sending them in when you're done with this one. I would love to see them. Do I do open studios? I've applied, and I haven't gotten into it yet, which is really frustrating, but I'm gonna keep trying. And if I still don't get it, I'm gonna do my own open studio eventually. Of course, I was planning to do it like kind of around this time, but now I can't do that. So we'll have a virtual open studio. I also teach classes in my garage, so those are fun. I've been running those through Airbnb, and I've been doing acrylic paint pouring, which is a really fun abstract technique. You need like zero skill to do it. So yeah, my studio is open for that. Okay. So our next step is going to be to paint the poppies. How's everyone doing on the background? Let me know if you still need more time, and I'll wait. Yes, open studio. It's going to happen eventually. Okay, also if your paint water gets too messy, like mine's super green right now, you can go and change it and refresh it. Especially if it's like a green color like this or blue or something, you want to get a fresh cup of water so that the poppies stay nice and vibrant and that green or blue color doesn't seep into the paint that you're using. 2 more minutes and 2 likes on that, so that means you need some time. So I prepared some jokes for you guys. Maybe that'll take up a minute of the painting time related to flowers. So, what do you call a grandpa flower? Any guesses? Poppy. I'm a big fan of bad jokes, so I apologize if it's not your jam. What is a flower's favorite band? Guns N' Roses. And why do flowers drive so fast? If they drive anywhere. Because they put the pedal to the metal. And last one. I'm glad. Okay, last joke is, what did the flowers say after he told a joke? I'll give you guys a minute to think about it. I was just pawing your leg. Does anyone else have any good ones? I have a lot of sea creature jokes, but I had to look up these flower ones. Very funny. They're the funniest ones I found. The rest were kind of too bad. Another thing I've been working on this week is my ABC book. It's kind of nice to have like a little bit of extra time. I've been waking up early in the morning to get some painting time in before my daughter wakes up and consumes me. I love it, but yeah, I need my time to paint too. So I've been working on my ABC book, which is ABCs with sea creatures. So I just finished H. H is for hammerhead sharks, and I'm on I. And what I was thinking of doing for I is isopod. If you guys haven't seen one of those before, they're kind of like a pill bug or a roly-poly of the ocean. They're like a little bit flatter than a pill bug, and they live on kelp and other things and crawl around like insects of the ocean. So that's what I was thinking of doing for I think it would be a fun one to introduce to the readers. But if you have any other sea creatures you know of that start with I, let me know. It would be nice to have options. Can I speak louder? Do you guys all hear me okay? Got my microphone. Okay, I will try to speak louder, and if it's still too quiet, maybe try turning the volume up if you can. My favorite sea creature joke. Yes, I have a favorite one. What is a pirate's favorite letter? If you said R, you're wrong. Nay, it'd be the C. Okay, looks like everyone else hears me all right. That's good. Okay. You guys ready to start on the poppies? Gonna do a little palette management here for a second. Hey, Thina.
You are in the class?
Mm-hmm.
I did the pee-pee.
You did the pee-pee? You wanna say hi, Athena? Come here. Wanna say hi to everyone? Say hello. Well, you can say bye. You wanna say bye? You wanna tell everyone you made a pee-pee?
No, mama. No, mama. Pero vamos. No, mama.
Pardon the interruption. Okay, anyway, we can begin on the poppies if you guys are ready. So we're gonna get some orange paint. Again, you can mix that by combining yellow with magenta, or if you just have orange paint, that's fine. Or if you don't have yellow paint or don't have orange paint, you can get creative and make them a different color. It doesn't really matter. You can make any flower you want. Oh my gosh, all the comments on Athena. Such a celebrity. Yeah, she's very proud of her. Herself going to the potty. It's adorable. Okay, anyway, so once you've got your orange paint, then we can start filling in our petals. And we are going to do some blending within these shapes. So they have, like, if you look at a poppy closely, they have different variations of like orange and yellow. So we will be adding that. We can start just with a base color, just kind of like a regular old orange. Okay, you might lose your lines, or maybe you can still see them underneath, but we can define them a little bit later on, bring them back out. with a little bit of outlining. Yeah, for my birthday a couple weeks ago, I went on a super long hike at a local park up the coast a little bit. And there are so many poppies in bloom, so beautiful. Yeah, I was planning like all these spring adventures to go see the wildflowers. So sad about it. It'll have to wait till next year. Okay. And you can take your time on these poppies if you're still in the first one, you can just do one at a time and do a little bit of blending, or you can fill them all in and do the blending then. If you're using watercolors, what I would probably do is, I always use a wet on wet technique, but you can also use not as much water and just kind of blend it. But usually the poppies in the center, they're more yellow, and on the outside they're more orange. So with acrylics, what we can do is we can add the yellow on and brighten it up. With watercolors, that's harder, so you can just kind of plan to keep yellow in the middle of the flowers and then the darker orange on the outside. And yeah, you can either do that with just like dropping paint into a wet puddle, or by just like coloring it and blending it softly. Whatever works for you. Yeah, I'm thinking of doing some water classes too, and even had this idea since so many of you guys are tuning into these. Maybe I could do 2 classes a week and do one like on a Tuesday night or something with watercolors, and then another on Fridays with acrylic paints. So let me know what you guys think of that idea. Okay, and now I think I'll go into some of my yellow and kind of preemptively start on this poppy when I could have worked on this one a little more. So I'm gonna get some yellow and just brighten up the base of that poppy. And maybe darken the edges with a little bit of pink there. Can also do a little shading where there would be a shadow, also with the pink. And yeah, as long as the paint is wet, you can just blend these colors and get a nice smooth transition. Yeah, we'll probably go over with a second coat to brighten up the colors. It always depends on the pigments, but mine are kind of translucent and you can still see the canvas underneath. So I think I'll let that one dry and then go over it again a little bit later. And you can also create variation in your different flowers, so maybe one of them will be more yellow, one will be like a deeper orange. Right here I'm making this inner petal just a little bit brighter yellow to have a little bit of contrast between those 2 petals. I think you guys can see that. Yeah, so I just did orange on the edge here and then yellow on this edge and blended that transition. Okay, and this last flower, I'm just gonna fill it in with orange and then brighten it up in the middle with some yellow. It's a good way to give dimension to objects you're painting. Is really like practice observation, noticing the details of color variations. It takes a lot of practice, but one of the exercises we always do in art classes is you get an egg and you draw the egg without using any gray. So you can use like yellow, blue, other colors, and you look for the colors in a white egg. And that's a really great practice for observation and seeing different colors. So yeah, if you go and look at a flower and you see this poppy is orange, it's not just orange. Like there's a yellower orange, there's a darker orange. There's all these different variations that are subtle. But if you stop and take the time to notice, you'll see that. That's kind of the cool thing about drawing, is you really get to know your subjects a lot better. Yeah, and then adding that variation into your paintings, it'll give you the illusion of dimension, so you can really see the the depth in the subject. Okay, so there I did a really subtle blend, added a brighter yellow in the middle, and then a little bit more magenta heavy orange on the outside, so you can see it's kind of like brighter in the middle there. Okay, I'll probably give that a minute to dry and go over with a second layer in a moment, just to intensify that color even more. And for now, I am gonna work on the stems of the flowers and add in the leaves. So for this part, you can either use a flat brush if it feels like you can have enough control with it and make a thin line, or you can use your smaller round brush, because these lines are going to be pretty thin. Yeah, and for the leaves of the poppies, you want to get kind of like a minty green color. So I am mixing my turquoise with yellow and white. If you don't have turquoise, you can use blue and go a little heavier on the white, something like that. Also, we can try adding in a little pink just to make it feel more natural. A lot of times if you just use the vibrant colors by themselves, they can be really intense, which is fine if you want to go for like really vibrant and energetic. But if you're going for realistic colors, it's nice to add a little drop of a complementary color just to brown it down, make it less intense. You're toning it down. And then it's like the painting won't be like yelling at you, it'll just be like, oh, here's a flower. Okay, we'll see. We also want to make sure our color contrasts with the background, so we want to make this green different enough from the turquoise. And one way to do that is to add a little bit more white, get kind of like a pastel green maybe. And we can do that little oval at the base. And at the very end we'll do a little bit of outlining too, so if you lay these down and they disappear, we'll be able to emphasize them with a bit of an outline. And then for the leaves, let me show you how to paint a leaf of a poppy. So they're a little bit different than other flowers. So I'll start with a long line coming out of the main stem, and then maybe I'll make another couple of lines coming off of that stem. So I don't know the right terms for these types of leaves, but they're kind of like branching. So there's the main stem, then there's a little branch, and that has branches coming off of it, and then those have another branch here. So then you make a bunch of lines coming off of those tertiary lines. And that's a very simplified version of a poppy leaf. If you looked at them up close, they would look a little bit different than this, but I think this captures the essence of what they look like. So it's accurate enough. Hopefully you guys can see this pretty well. The colors don't contrast a lot. here. Maybe you can see that better. Can I zoom in on the leaf? Yes. Let me bring the camera over, give you guys a close-up. Yeah, so you have the main stem, and then you have the little stem coming off, and just more and more. And I'll show you guys the finished piece again, so you can have an idea. Yeah, so just a couple of them. You can even do like one branch and a bunch there, especially if you're working on a smaller canvas. That's a little bit easier. But if you have a big enough canvas, you can add in the extra branches. And then at the end, we'll do a little outline, and that'll make it stand out from the background. And then you see the poppies, I did a lighter outline there to make them pop. Poppin' poppies. So I'll keep going along with the leaves for now while my flowers are drying. If your background is still wet, you might pick some of that up in these leaves, and that's okay. I'm kind of getting the turquoise mixing in a little bit, but as long as you don't brush back and forth, it should stay pretty distinct. So try, if you can, to get it in one stroke, each little leaf. And if you're working with a little brush, a little tip for controlling the line thickness is the pressure you apply. So if you press down really hard with the brush, you'll get a thicker line, but if you just go with the very tip of the brush, you can get a thinner line. So that'll give you some control. Also, you want to be careful about how much paint you load up on your brush. So if you get too much paint, it'll kind of come off in a glob. But if you kind of roll the paint off, maybe even add a little bit of water to make the paint more fluid, you can just load up the end of the brush so it's not like super loaded up. If you guys can see that. Oh yeah, there's not like a glob of paint on it. That gives you a little bit more control too. And let me know if you guys need any troubleshooting tips. I know there's like a lot of things that can happen that make it hard to makes it hard to work with the paint, but I can talk you through it probably. Yeah, another way to create depth in your painting is with overlapping. So you can see the way I did my poppies. I have like some stems going behind this main flower, and also the leaves, I'm going to make them come up from behind this flower as well. So the subject is kind of stacked on top of itself. And that just gives you a little bit more dimension in the piece. And then if you did the 3 flowers, you've got this middle stem, which also probably needs some leaves. So maybe we can add in some small ones in between those other leaves we're doing. So if you're still working on the leaves, take your time with that. I think I'm about ready to go in with a second coat on the poppies because the paint's drying out now. I might be able to overlap that. Let me see how much time we have. Been here about an hour. My maximum time is 90 minutes, so I've got a half hour left of recording time, and I'm sure we'll finish it by then. But just FYI, if you guys need to continue painting after this is over, you can totally spend the whole evening doing that. Does anyone have any requests for next week's painting? This last week I took requests and Poppies were the winner, so I made this fun piece. Okay, medium brush for the Poppies again. Just mixing it up again, getting more of my color. Yeah, and if you're going over with the second coat, you'll really notice the second layer of paint makes a big difference. The color is more saturated, you don't have the canvas showing through. Can blend in some yellow at the base here. Try to blend it up.
How does sweet fly? How sweet fly?
And when you're blending these colors within this flower, usually don't have to rinse your brush because you can go right from the orange to the yellow, and it's okay if it all blends together. The main time you want to rinse your brush is if you're going into like a complementary color that's opposite. But if it's in the same spectrum, like red, orange, yellow, you usually don't need to rinse your brush because the colors are similar enough that it's not a big deal if it blends together. I think that one's looking pretty good. Some blending. Ooh, some good ideas. A seahorse. I was actually thinking a seahorse because I haven't painted one in a long time. Also, a watercolor seahorse would be really fun because you can like break it up into the little squares. Maybe that'll be a Tuesday class. We'll see. A sunset. Sunsets are always fun. A starfish on rocks. I love that idea. Tide pooling is so fun. Okay, onward to the next flower. Some more yellow paint for myself. Ran out, and my my green is creeping in too. Not good, but it's okay. This is what I always do on my palette. I like try to just do it all in one thing, and then I go like all the way to the edges and find the clean corners that I can. But I know not everyone can work like this, so if you're not like me, you can get like another plate or another surface to mix more paint on if you're like expanding too much and getting weird colors mixing everywhere. doing that same blend of the yellow to orange. Get that bright middle of the flower. I think I'm gonna darken this petal even more, just because it's like on the bottom, it's probably really dark. So I'll add in some magenta, and that blends in nicely. Okay. How many lips does a flower have? 2 lips. I read that joke later, but I didn't tell it. That's a good one too. Okay, so doing that orange on the outside and going right to the yellow in the middle. And blending it in a circular motion. I've been so inspired by all the creativity coming out. It's so cool to see how people are coming together in this time, even though we're all like staying at home and not like physically close, but just like going on the internet and social media and stuff, there's a lot of inspiration and joy being shared by artists, musicians, and it's so nice to see that. It's very uplifting. Yeah, just remember that because I have Jack Johnson playing, and I watched his little live concert the other day, and it was cute. My daughter Athena, she got inspired too, and she picked up her little guitar and started playing. So fun. Sarah's gotta go make dinner. Thanks for watching. If you want to jump back into your paintings later, there will be a recording of this, so you can go back to where you left off and finish up. Okay, so we've got our second coat. At this point, all we have left is the outline. So I'm going to go back to my small brush. Make sure it's nice and clean. I'm going to use that dark blue that I haven't touched at all. Do a little outlining. Yeah, and when you're getting into the finishing details and outlines, you want to go very carefully and really try to get your paint to the right consistency. It's kind of cool going through the process because the first step, like the background, was very expressive and it was kind of like a warm-up, and then the next steps get a little bit more detailed and refined. At the very end, you're like warmed up and primed and have a little bit more control over your paint. So then you can get into the detail work. So hopefully you have a little bit more control over your brush, but again, you want to get it to the right consistency, not load up your brush too much, water down your paint a little bit, and then you want to keep your hands steady. So if you can rest your elbow on a table, that helps. If your background is dry, you can also kind of pivot your hand. I like to rest my pinky like a little tripod, and then I can just use my fingers to outline and have a little bit more control like that. Okay, and I think I'll start with the flowers because they're a little bit easier. So hopefully you can still kind of see your outlines, especially with all the blending we've been doing. Oh, the poppies I did with white, that's right. So we'll just jump into the leaves then. And Yaz is heading out too, or are you still watching? Glad you're loving it. Yay. Okay, so anyway, the leaves, here we go. get distracted by the conversation going on back there. Okay, just a little outline there. Maybe we can do a little dark outline on the undersides of the leaves. Maybe give an illusion of shadow. Yeah, sometimes I like last minute switch up my own paintings. I find like the new and improved version. And then find those leaves, and then you can give them like a subtle outline. It doesn't have to be around the whole thing, but maybe like half of a petal, just to give it a little illusion. I'll do a close-up again so you guys can see. Oops, it's my finger. Yeah, so that's like half of the leaf outlined. I'll do a little bit more, and then I'll do another close-up for you guys to see. Also keep in mind if you have a lot of overlapping with the leaves, maybe do the ones that are more in the foreground, or the ones that appear more in the foreground first, and then do the other ones so they fall behind it. It's kind of like a mind puzzle a little bit sometimes. It's like, which leaf is on top of which one? It can get confusing if you put a lot of leaves in. And also if you're working with watercolors, you can do this part with like an ink pen or a pencil to give it that pop. I always use a micron pen with my watercolors to do some outlining. This part might take the longest, so you might spend like all night doing these outlines. It's very detailed work, but it's nice. It's also meditative. Just remember to breathe, stay calm, take your time with it. You don't have to rush through. Give you guys another close-up here. Yeah, so you can see the outlines. They're not like perfect or anything. They're kind of segmented too, so I'm not going like all the way around each petal. Sometimes like the paint blends in a little bit. It's nice, you can leave those little accents. I think they add more character to the painting than just having like crisp lines, solid colors. It's nice to have like those painterly strokes emphasized. And you can kind of see I'm working my way through the maze too, so finding which leaves are behind the other leaves, which ones come to the foreground, which ones are in the back. Yeah, and that'll take a little time because I have all these leaves to do. I'm gonna check my time just to make sure I don't get cut off before I show you everything. Okay, I'll take a break from that for a second and outline the poppies just so you guys get that part. So this one I'm just gonna do with white paint, or you could do like white with a little bit of yellow. That might be nice too. I think I'm gonna do like a pale yellow, see how that goes. Let's see how it looks. Okay. And over here I did that dark outline to create a little bit of a shadow. So I'm not going to go over that with yellow again. I'll continue around the other petals. Okay, so the poppies have 4 petals, so these 2 are kind of like sitting on top and the other 2 are underneath those 2, so that's why I made those lines kind of curved like that. After spending a lot of time observing the flowers. And in the middle you can make a couple like little strokes, kind of like a star or sun in the middle. And that's where the pollen would be. The poppy. Okay, and now I'm just going to continue outlining those leaves. That'll be the last part. Plus the signature. Don't forget to sign your paintings when you're finished. I'll also share with you a couple ways you guys can support me if you would like to, if you enjoyed this class and want to see more of this. I really appreciate like any support you can provide. So one simple way is just sharing these classes. If you like to, you can share the finished video, share your painting on social media, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you hang out on. Tell your friends about it. Also, I'm taking donations, so if you would like to send any amount, is awesome. I can accept them through PayPal, and my email is followthesunart@gmail.com. And I also have Venmo, so my Venmo is @followthesunart. Those are options. Also, my web shop is open, so if you want to get any art or apparel, I have like t-shirts with my designs and throw pillows and cell phone cases and stuff like that. They're all for sale on my shop. You can get like a little bonus gift with your lesson tonight. So yeah, my shop is followthesunart.com. Everything follow the sun. And also I have a Patreon account, which is kind of like a membership subscription service for creatives. So people that use it are like podcasters, artists, musicians, and it's a way to get like a behind the scenes look at what the artists are doing. So I have some cool rewards on there, and I'm getting ready to send out this month's rewards. So I always have a digital download, and I tried to think up some things that would be a good way to occupy yourself during the quarantine. So this month I'm going to send out a coloring page. So if you're already on Patreon, these are the things you're going to look forward to. And then to my video tutorials subscribers, there's an option where you can get a bonus painting lesson on there. So this month, or last month, we did this sunset painting, so that's already on Patreon if you want to learn how to paint this awesome sunset scene. And then this month I'm still editing it, but I'm going to demo this great blue heron. Very exciting. It's a little bit more challenging because of the drawing part, but it's fun. And then my goodie box subscribers are going to get some greeting cards, so you can write some little notes to friends and family wherever they are and send them. I think it's a good time for writing letters and connecting with people. So that's what you can look forward to on Patreon this month. Yeah, it's been so fun coming up with the goodies I'm going to share with everyone on there. And if you want to check that out, it's Patreon, patreon.com/follow-the-sun-art. And I'll post links to all of this once this is over in a comment with the video. See how we're doing on time. I have about 10 minutes of recording time left, so if you guys have any last questions about the painting process, feel free to type them in and I'll answer what I can, or anything else you want to tell me. You can write it now before I have to log off. Also, if you guys have any feedback for these video sessions, let me know too, because I'm still learning how to do this virtually. I do it in person a lot. I've been doing it for like 2 years, so I feel like I've got that down, but I'm still always learning. So if you have any tips to make this virtual experience go more seamlessly, I really appreciate any feedback. You can send me a message if you want. Question from Leslie. Can you use a pen to outline? The pen I was mentioning, the Micron pen, that's for watercolors, but you can use a pen to outline with acrylics. So I use these Posca paint pens. They come in different colors and different thicknesses too. So this one is like one of the finer points. But they're really good, and I use them. I usually use them in my paintings for outlining, but I know not everyone has these handy. But yeah, it's still acrylic paint, and it'll blend seamlessly with the painting. But it gives you a lot of control. So yeah, like a lot of my own paintings, I do the Posca pen to outline. And do I have classes every day? No, so far I've just been doing these on Fridays, but I am thinking of adding more classes and kind of looking into you know, there's been so many changes so suddenly. And before I had like a good schedule. So I'm figuring it out, and I'm thinking maybe I could offer daily lessons, or at least several times a week. So that might happen. And then Jordan says she did it with colored pencils. Yay, I'm glad you got to create along, and I look forward to seeing your colored pencil drawing. Okay. We'll go for a couple more minutes in case there's any last questions or comments. And if you're getting ready to log off, I want to thank you all for watching along with me. Super appreciate it. Send me pictures of your finished paintings. I want to see them all. It's my favorite part of seeing how creative everyone comes out. Oh, how do you find out about new classes? You can follow my Facebook page, Follow the Sun Art. I also have an email list, so if you send me maybe in a message your email address, I can add you to that. That's the best way to stay connected. I send weekly updates on new classes. I do a lot of in-person ones, so probably after this this whole thing is over, I'll go back to those like paint nights and workshops and stuff like that. Oh, another thing I have is Skillshare, if you haven't heard of that. It's a website where it's like all virtual classes, but you just pay like a monthly subscription fee of $15, and you can get 2 months of a free trial to check it out. But I have some classes on there too that you can take. I have an acrylic painting basics one that's been pretty popular on there, so it goes more into depth on the different techniques that we covered here. And then I am working on a color mixing class. I just need to edit that a little bit more. And there's like a sketching animals class on there too, so that's like a lot about proportion and just how to draw from observation. But the focus is on animals, but you can apply those techniques to anything you're drawing from observation. And then I have a resin class on there too, the resin ocean waves. It's a little one. If you haven't seen that technique, it's kind of like this that shiny piece on the wall, the blue one with the waves. So you can create that with resin. So I have that class on Skillshare as well. And again, I'll post links to all of this. And okay, Jordan, love you too. Thank you for being here. And Rebecca asks, what did I do inside the open face flower? So I just did an outline after blending in like the darker orange to the lighter orange in the middle. Then I went over with the outline, and I did like the petals kind of in this triangular shape, the two on the top and the bottom, and then a connecting line to get those petals that are underneath. And then in the middle you just do little brush strokes in kind of like if you're painting a sun without doing the circle, you just do the little rays going out in a circle. And you can do little dots in the middle too. I can give you a close-up if that helps. There's that poppy. You can see just quick little brush strokes. Okay, and Liz asks, can you post your paintings on my page? Yes. And yeah, you can also message them to me if you don't want to post them on my page. But feel free to post them on my page and in the event page too. If you want everyone to see your artwork, we can have a little gallery in there if you guys want. But that'll be fun. Or in the comments on this video. But yeah, I also like sharing your paintings on my own accounts. So let me know. Share those pics. Oh, thank you guys for watching. I'm still outlining here. Could stay here all night and get lost in this process. I hope you guys have a fun time finishing your paintings and hanging out with the people you're with. And if you guys have any questions after the fact, I always read all my messages and comments and everything, so feel free to reach out. Let's see, what time is it again? It's almost 6:30, so I should probably log off now. yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be able to finish the poppies in there. And oh, shout out to the how do you say that? Panos, watching from Washington. Tips for blending yellow to orange. Do you mean like how to get a soft transition? Let me know. Yeah, for the poppies, if you have like your yellow down, say in the middle, you just kind of like adjust ratios of your color. So yeah, if you start with yellow like in the middle, and then you get orange on the outside, and then you're just kind of brushing over the edge. If the paint is wet, it's gonna blend and you'll get a smoother transition. But yeah, I see a lot of times when people like lay down the color, you have like a hard line where the colors meet. So the trick to doing that is just to get your brush, this one doesn't have any paint on it, but basically you want to just brush over the transition, kind of go up and down over the hard line, and then the colors will blend together and you'll get a softer transition. I hope that helps, Barbs. And I'll do a better demo on blending next time, if that will help. Okay, I'll leave a minute for any last questions. I hope I'm seeing everything too. So I know last time I went and checked, and there were like other comments that I didn't see come up on my little screen. So if I missed anything, it's not because I'm ignoring you, it's just because it didn't come up. So I apologize if that's the case. And Patty, I'm glad you had fun. Yeah, I hope you can join next Friday too. I'm glad you're painting along. Yay. Okay, so I think with that, I'm gonna end the recording. So thank you all again for watching, and I'll see you next week. Goodbye, good night.